Good morning. Welcome to Piano Talk. This morning we're talking about polishing up polyester pianos. Every week, 6 a.m. on Wednesday morning, we talk about something, whatever happens to be, just coming through the shop. For several years, I've had a team of people that help out in the shop, and we've been doing training. Whatever, whether it's regulation or if it's, in this case, working on the finish or buffing or alignment, hammer reshaping, restringing, all sorts of different topics from simple repairs all the way to rebuilding. And we just decided that we ought to put this on YouTube. So if you want to join us, 6 a.m. Wednesday mornings, Mountain Time, we'd love to have you join in. Okay, so I'm really not a finish guy, but I'll tell you quickly what I know, and then I'm gonna have Mike take over. Mike is an expert on finishes. What I know about finishes, of course, these grain-free finishes have been. It was a German innovation in the 1920s, from what I understand. Where you, and like when I say grain-free, what I'm referring to is when you look at the piano, you see no grain. It's just solid black. Of course, pianos are still very popular with wood grain, and they have been since the invention of the piano. But for about 100 years or so, there's also been this other style of finish where it's just solid black. And sometimes it's shiny, sometimes it's satin, sometimes it's matte. From what I understand, it's been accomplished in a number of different ways, but for the last 40, 50 years, something like that. It's polyester, like clothing. Somehow polyester, I have no idea what the chemistry is, but somehow polyester is put into a liquid form and sprayed or poured, like in the factory. I've seen parts that go through this waterfall on a conveyor belt, like a waterfall of polyester, and it just coats them. And then you've got these guys that in the factory that buff them out, polish them out. At the Highland factory, for example, they had a room that was like solid LED lights, those, or not LED, those long tube lights. So it was the brightest room that I may have ever been in my life, and they put the pianos in there, and and these guys they just go at it with buffing wheels, and that's the last step before they ship them out. So the reason that we're talking about polishing today, I just got a report yesterday about a whole shipment of pianos coming in. Lots and lots of pianos that I have that were supposed to be here by now, but they got held up at customs and they were inspected. I got a lovely report that they were damaged by the inspectors. So I am hopeful that it's not extreme damage, but Mike is a very competent repair guy. And hopefully any kind of issues that they might have will just be a matter of buffing out any scratches that they might have put into the pianos. So we do have this piano here. It's a approximately 40-year-old Yamaha piano, and it's in decent condition, but it has the kind of light scratches and wear that you expect to see after about 40 years. A lot of the pianos that I get in, like from Japan, that have been refurbished, that are 30, 40, 50 years old, are perfect. And that's not because the Japanese take better care than other people do, but it's because the people that refurbish them really know what they're doing, and Mike does too. So let's talk about polishing.
All right, awesome.
You can have talk loud, Mike.
I think we will take this small board off so I can put it right here. Jacob can grab a moving blanket. So yeah, Brigham touched on a few different finishes, polyester and different things. That's the first thing that I like to do. If you just want to lay it right here, Jake. This is buffing, not necessarily repairing or fixing, but that's the first step that you need to do is find out what material it's made out of. There's different ways to do that. You can scrape a corner that's not seen anywhere and see what comes off of it. Yeah, looking at this further, I don't think this is a polyester. I think it's a lacquer. So, okay, so my mind's kind of scrambled all the time, so I'm gonna have to make this clear and easy. So, to do that, we'll have 3 stages. So, coarse, medium, actually 4. Fine. So, what buffing is doing? Fourth is the final polish, waxing, and the secret that I actually can't show on the video. So, yeah. Yeah, what we're doing is we're taking the piano down as far as we are available to match the deepest scratch, and then getting to a finer grit, which then again scratches those scratches. It's kind of like cutting grass, I guess you could say. Like rough cuts it the first time, the second time you can get it finer, and the third time it gets every single blade off, and it's just polished and smooth like a golf course. So we'll start off with this. I'm going to plug this in for me.
So you're going to use different buffing?
We're going to use different buffing compounds. Yeah, different bonnets. So the first bonnet that we have is to really cut and get down, you need to have a wool bonnet. Anything else, you're just kind of relying on the cotton, and it's kind of flimsy. A nice wool bonnet is strong enough and dense enough to really cut, especially polyester. It's an extremely hard surface. I think that's why they use it, because it's basically just like a commercial, just like glue that's dyed that they sand into place. It's just a very solid surface, and so you have to have a wool for your first. And then your second, you can use a cotton or a foam. And then the third, yeah, you don't want anything that gives resistance or can leave or can scratch the piano itself. Towards the end, even cotton can leave fine scratches, swirls.
Fourth one, you use the microfiber.
Right. The last polish, you want microfiber.
Wool, cotton, foam, microfiber.
Right. And really, you buff with any microfiber. That's just the last wipe down with the spray polish. What polishes are is they have very fine, like little bit of like a little abrasive, hardly any at all, and then a lot of these will actually have a wax in them. And so even these have a little bit of a wax or some sort of filler that actually fills in those scratches and makes it so you can't see it. There's 2 things that will show a scratch. One is color, and the other would be height. They all have to be the exact same height, or you can see a little ripple or a wave or a bump. And so when we're polishing, you want to keep that in mind. You want to just keep it. You don't want to sit at one spot for a long time and answer your phone and then go, oh, go to the next spot. It needs to be consistent and smooth the whole way from start to finish.
So like finding key sides maybe where you don't want to bring down one part of the key and then move on to the next and then to the next. We kind of want to do the whole side of the key
exactly
simultaneously with the file.
And your eye will catch a lot, but you have to give and take. So if you have a big scratch, let's say right here, and it's pretty deep, not deep enough to fill it with a polyester patch, And what you'd want to do is you'd want to get down to that level, but essentially you're fixing a scratch right here, but you should taper it from here to here, so that it's a low dip and very gradual, and your eye won't catch that. Your eye will catch a little fix that's really in a short area. So you want to make it the whole a very extended length. Okay, well, yeah, let's polish. This is just a vapor. These are awesome. This thing is incredible. It adjusts for the height and level. It has I don't know how to explain it, but it's really nice. So what I like to do is I have a rag for each compound and each different polish until you get to the last two, then you can use the same rag. And then the final rag, you want a new clean one. And so what I do is I just grab a little in the corner of the rag that I'm going to clean it off with. And you can see that it builds up after time. What you want to do there is while it's on, you want to get a screwdriver and just give it a quick kind of a zip. You want to know which way you have the wheel going. If it's going this way and you go to give it that, it'll flip back and hit you in the face and it can hurt you. So you want to go with the rotation when you're cleaning it. It's like the buffing wheel. If anyone's had any close calls with that. Okay, sorry, I'm moving, so I didn't have my normal hair. So your hair. I can feel it tickling my ear. I'm like, makeup. Yeah, makeup. So at least we're not getting old. So I don't know. It's tricky. I've done a couple little in homes, and you just have to be kind of careful because this stuff will shoot 100 feet when you get this thing going. The speed on this can go really high, so you want to be careful not to start off really fast. I like to kind of get it on there and kind of work it in just a little bit. So lacquers you can buff out, polyester you can buff out. There's a lot of different finishes you can buff out. A few things that you wouldn't necessarily want to buff, maybe like a wax, like a beeswax, or there's hundreds of different types of waxes they use. You can heat them up, and then they fill into the pores of the wood or the material, and then they can become shiny. At that point, you'd want to reapply more wax if you heat it up, because it will kind of get stuck on your pad and you can lose it. So it's kind of nerve-wracking when doing one of these, because it's like kind of shiny and nice now, and we're going to take a lot of the sheen off.
Gets worse before it gets better.
Gets worse before it gets better, and that was kind of a hesitation I had for a while. Like, oh no, I'm ruining it. But you just have to have faith that the later compounds will, they'll clean up and finish it. So I just start on one. I like to just kind of get that work in there so it doesn't shoot everywhere. So where this is possibly, yeah.
Would it be better to turn it to the side?
I think that I'm going to just, I think this will work pretty good. These are very maneuverable. You can really work them. You can see in that corner, I just kind of tilted this a little sideways and used the pad and the angle to where it was just a consistent.
we file the judgment here in my careful, it's messy, because you can take the material down too far.
You want to see that? I think we'll live with that. It might be deeper than a buffing. For time purposes, we might just do this all board maybe for the time being. I think it might
Yeah, for sure.
take too long. Okay, so now here's the rag that I used to get some compound. I like to wear gloves in homes and in the shop, and that usually is fairly nice and not too bad to just grab the compound or whatever. So now I wipe it down with the cloth, and it looks you're terrified because there's swirlies all over. It's a different shade even. But if you go, yeah, this is how you tell. So you wipe it down. If you see scratches that stand out really bad, before there's 3 or 4 that were kind of across, you could really see and notice. I can still see a couple, but I think it's good enough for what we need to do on this piano. On edges, especially corners like this, if you get a little too rowdy with it, it'll go down the wood really fast, especially lacquer versus polyester. So be very careful on edges like that when you're buffing. If you get too crazy on it, you'll be in trouble. And if you do that, there's different things like this. This is a intensive black, which is, I think, the black Yamaha uses. You can just get a little bit of this on an edge pen and make a nice new edge if you took it off. Okay, second one, you just move up to a medium. I really like this buffer because it lasts forever. So the first wheel you take off, that behind it. Hold it. Just push that button right here. It locks that little thing for you for a second. And then I think just, yeah, there it's off. The second one, just another, this is just a.
Does everybody know why he's changing bonnets? I mean, it's not just the material, but it's also that he's got compound, coarse compound in that.
Yeah, a lot of times, the first couple stages, it's important, really important. When you get towards the end, if you have a little of this brown, like just even right there when you're doing your final polish, just that much, I mean, yeah, all of a sudden you'll have like a section that just has like a few swirls across the whole thing. You'll be like, what? You have to start over. So you want to make sure everything is off the piano. All compounds. If there's a little of the previous left over,
You know what that is?
the 1 to 2, that's okay. A little dent or something.
Is it it?
Pull it. We'll get that. This down. So next compound, same thing. Coat your pad.
Show them how you're coating it.
I just kind of get it on. I spread it out on here like this. You can have it going, and then while it's going, you can kind of use it, but this pad is a little worked. We need a new pad really soon. I'd like to use supplies as long as we can when we're using them a lot. And then, yeah, I try and kind of get it on the pad a little bit so that doesn't hit everybody. Oh, that can be kind of fun. rule of thumb is to let this thing do a lot of work. It really, you don't have to fight it and push really hard. The compound and the wheel, yeah, you just gotta hold it firmly and you let it do its thing. And it levels itself out. So it gets a nice level edge. Okay, now I need to get some more compounds for that. So we get a new rag now for compound 2. And now you should see just minor swirls and scratches, which is what we see, is what I would like.
Can you see that in the camera? Not really. Just kind of looks shiny in the camera.
Yeah, it all looks awesome in the camera.
It looks about the same.
That's what I like. But really, if you delivered this like this, it would be cool maybe, but when we finish it off, it's like it's awesome.
A little bit of haze.
A little bit of a haze, yeah. A haze from the scratches of the light just refracting.
Can everybody see what he's talking about after the? So that was the medium, the second one.
So yeah, from this, I mean, from here, even though it's a little bit better than what that looked. But if you get close, you can see tons of little scratches.
So if you look at it, just like where you see the reflection where there's not a light, it just looks shiny and black. But then when you look at it like here, I'm seeing the reflection of these lights. Then I see it looks like spider webs. It looks like circles everywhere.
Swirls. Anyway, you guys can gather and look anytime you'd like. So
as you get finer and finer, it looks like the black is getting deeper.
yeah, in the very end, yeah, deep black. It's like there's not. Yeah, as you get deeper and deeper, I mean, as you get finer and finer, it looks like there's not even a coating over that black. It's just shiny, and it almost looks wet, which is awesome. Okay, so next I'm going to use a drill. I like to use a drill on the fine one on this next step just because it's so light, and on a piano, that thing is a little heavy and kind of hard to maneuver. And drills these days are so awesome. So you can just get a cordless. This Bosch has been an incredible drill. These batteries last a long time. I always have a charged one extra, especially if you're going to a customer's house. And then this is fine, this is white, so this is the last actual solid compound that I will use before I go to some liquid compounds. And so this, you can just get it spinning. I'll get you started. Kind of what the same effect you'd use on the buffing wheel or something like that. And this is a fine, nice compound here. Kind of get it all over on the drill. What I do, I've left out a few sections in customers' homes. I like to put a blanket down wherever I'm working and have a vacuum also in my shop vac right next to me. After this, I'll have to get a vacuum and maybe clean up a little bit. You kind of keep, I'm going to move to the 1 just so I know I'm safe. But it's not too hard to keep it clean. A lot of this will get home. So this 1 almost completes the job.
Why don't you do it like up to here? At least for now. And then
Yeah. So we can either hold it up to the light, like an extra piano too. The 1, you don't have to be as careful with how long you're on it.
keep in mind, if you have a 1, you start with a 1. If you have any scratches left over, that's because we didn't
cut hard enough with the 3. You can actually polish the whole finish almost over a scratch. So all of a sudden you're done with this finish and there's still a scratch. It's like, whoa, I thought it's because you didn't cut hard enough with the 3. And you could stay on this for an hour and it wouldn't do anything, especially on polyester. So the first step is just as important as the last step when you want it perfect.
I probably would have stayed on 3 or 2 a little longer if it wasn't for just training purposes. This is a really nice compound, this 1. It really just, you start to get excited, at least I do. It's like, okay, it's working when you wipe it down. And it took me a lot of research and experimenting and time to finally find out how to get all the little swirls out. That was a big issue I was having. I couldn't get the little bit swirl for the last one. So we'll turn the camera off and I'll show you guys how to do that. This I started out with a battery that was going low. Okay, this is good enough for what we're doing. Okay, so now I have a new rag. It's a 1. And after this, I would jump right to the cleanest rags. And yeah, if you have a piece of wood or a piece of steel wool or anything, from this point on, you'd have to buff it out and kind of start your way again. So we'll see little swirls and spots. That's okay, because we're not to the final cut yet.
Yeah, it's looking nice.
You can already tell it's looking way better. I've seen a lot of.
Yeah, this looks like 30 years use. This looks like 5 years use.
Right, now we're going to take it to a great finish. So yeah, I mean, even that, it looks better, and it didn't take a whole lot of time. This piano, it has a lot of scratches, but it hasn't been really abused. So you could start with maybe, I mean, to do it really fast, you could do a 1 and then a polish. If you have the time, 2, 1, or 3, 1, whatever you have time for. This is my favorite polishing paste. It's 655, 600. It's by Koenig, a German company that I don't know. I don't think you can beat it. I've tried tons of different polishing pastes, and this stuff kicks some booty. Okay, so now I also just clean this off. If you have a little anything on this that's has any more grit than what this is, then you're in trouble.
Is that a dedicated one or like the one you use?
This is a dedicated. The one I just used is right there.
This one?
Yeah, for the 1. So just make sure it's nice and
You have them
clean.
marked?
I just have them placed in containers in my where I keep all this stuff. But yeah, it would be a good idea to mark them, especially if more than you are just using them. So this paste, it kind of gets liquidy, but I don't know how. I think they combined a few different. I mean, there's so many different methods. There's a method that has a machine that has 3 wheels on it, and each wheel has a different compound. So you're actually doing the whole process with 1 swipe, and I've seen that. It's pretty awesome. It's a lot of different ways to do it, but this is the basic idea
of how anyone can do it. So this, yeah, this is the next step. Sorry, this stuff is going to be messy fast. And this stuff is just, it's awesome. I love this kind of this product. And you could leave it after this. If you want it better, just spend a little bit more time trying to get every little hairline and scratch out. I won't be too obsessive about it right now for
You can
that.
see your reflection now in the video.
What was that?
You can see your reflection now.
Oh, you can.
Well,
Hello.
finished.
Oh, now talking to the finish I just created. And what I like about, yeah, these polishes, you can go right over like this metal, and it'll even shine that up. If the metal is rusty or something, you could put flakes into the actual polish, which could be dangerous. You want to be careful of that. You want to look it over and make sure it's okay to work with. So I kept a mental note of where I went over. So I took 1, 2 down here, 1, 2 down here, 1 here, and then I got right up against this edge by tilting it just a little bit so that it's not really shiny, and then there's a little dull strip by the metal. So you want to get the edge of your, just like that, wherever you're doing it. It doesn't have to be a lot, but enough to where it covers the area. Now I'll do the top corner here. And down here. At this point, I'd probably wipe it off and do that exact same thing again, with the same polish and everything. But we'll jump to the final 2.
Is the drill powerful enough to use the number 3 bonnet?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just if your battery's long enough. This just shot some dirt and flakes on
One
it.
charging while you use the other one.
Yeah. Or if you, I think you can buy the batteries separate. If you could buy like, yeah, if you had one charging, well, one was in your drill and one was, and you had a spare. So now is where I was kind of getting before. I got it a little better than this with a few different polishes, but I didn't give up. I was still obsessed with finding out how do they get them so clean in the factory. And so, I mean, that's pretty good, but it looks like a lot. So I found,
Looks really good.
this product I will now put on. I'm just kidding. So it's automotive is where I found the best
Big secret.
secret. This is called Magura's Mirror Glaze Professional 9. It's a light cut, so it's still cutting a little bit.
Oh, right there. Here's your secret weapon.
So it's still cutting a little bit. Swirl Remover 2.0. This stuff is great. And I just put it right over the end polish. I know a lot of people actually will have a 3-2 and then a 2-1 and then a 1 polish. I guess it works into the pad enough and bounces enough that it's okay to do it that way.
On the same
pad. I just like having more pads.
You do all the parts at one level and then move on, or do you do one part at a time?
I would do the whole piano 3, whole piano 2, whole piano 1.
So like you've got it all taken apart with the
Right.
key slip and the cheek blocks and the key stop rail and the bottom panel and all these
Yeah,
things.
and really, you can really just do it while everything's on it. You don't have to take the whole thing apart unless you're going for a perfect job. If we need to clean up, we'll scratch in one area, yeah, you can do just that scratch. And then what you probably want to do at that point is, if the whole piano is at a decent level, you're just fixing a scratch, buff that scratch out, get it to where it's clean, and then I would go over the whole thing with the end polish really quick with the drill, and then this, and then the final. So this also has a wax that's really popular in refinishing. It's called, I always say it wrong, so I want to look at it. It's called, oh, where is it? I thought it was right on the front. Well, maybe I know it's on this. How would you say that? Carnauba? Carnauba? It's called Carnauba wax. They use it for all kinds of purposes. It fills in areas and it's hard and protective, and it's awesome. So that will be the last step. You fill in any little tiny swirls or holes with that, and it has a tint of black, and that's also for cars. So this still is cutting a little bit. Not a lot, but a little. Just to swirl. You can hopefully get everything swirled. This part is crucial in the same working space. You'll find that it's not hard to keep a mental note, and you can see all these materials when you're doing a whole piano. You're not completely in the dark. I think that was good enough for now. You can stay on that one for a long time. Then I like to wipe this one off. At this point,
Same rag that you used for the paste?
for the end polish, yeah. Now we're getting too pretty. I might go back on that one a little longer if we weren't trying to squeeze a lot in. And also we can try, and you guys can take turns. You guys can finish it off with some pieces.
How would you,
I can see some long little streaks, and yeah. I actually use the other side of the rag for this part.
What were you gonna ask?
I was just saying, how would you approach a more complex surface like the other side where you've got the little music desk there?
I would kind of just maybe with one hand grab the desk.
So what he's talking about is like this.
Yeah, one hand probably hold this, and then
Especially
with
here,
my,
you can see
with
all
my
sorts of-
drill, I would go like that.
So maybe in the shop we would take that off, but at somebody's house.
How about here, where when you fill?
Yeah, I think you could work it like that. Yeah, maybe like this motion while
You
going.
wouldn't just take that off?
Yeah, that would be really easy to take that off. That would be the best solution, is to take this off. That would be ideal.
Six screws is all.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially somewhere so prevalent is the music desk, the first thing you see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can finish this. You guys can take turns if someone wants to do a screwdriver. So you want to make sure your hands are clean. I just got some of the first stuff. Okay, so now the final, which you don't want to like take advantage of these final waxes. Say, oh, that'll do it. So I'm not going to. But this stuff, you'll get a lot of the little swirls out. It's tinted black.
And this is also the same bonnet.
Same bonnet, yeah. Sorry. Shoot everywhere. I really should have stayed on probably this a little longer and this. All of them really a little bit more time, but not really. I mean, this is pretty close to what you need to do to achieve a decent polish. Yeah, this is you can really see the depth in the piano. And so once you had a scratched up kind of older piano, I know a lot of people in their homes, they have these amazing pianos, but they just get worn out. It's just like everything, it gets dirty. Not necessarily neglected, but it's just what happens.
How much time would you allot for doing the whole piano in somebody's house?
In someone's house, I would want to take a 2 or 3 hour time slot for sure, and just spend your time and make it really nice. Is what I would do
for either a grand or an upright.
Yeah, and I would, unless it's a really large grand, the lid it doesn't have as many what do you call it? Obstacles. I think that and the way the grand kind of curves, it seems to be easier with the drill. So they're close to the same time, and it also depends on how bad each individual job is. Some of them you might have to cut with the first one for a long time if there's deep cuts like at a school or something.
Are there different finishes that would take longer or that you would not use this process at all with?
Satin, matte, you wouldn't want to, I mean, you could do it to a satin or a matte, it'd just end up like this.
It would?
If it's lacquer or polyester, it would.
Refinishers that I've talked to in the past have said that you can go from high polish to satin, but you can't go the other way. But it sounds like you can.
Absolutely, yeah. If
you're
it's a scratched satin, you can, and the lacquer was sprayed in a clear lacquer and then scratched to a satin, then absolutely you could buff it out. If it was a satin tinted lacquer or satin tinted polyester, then no, you couldn't make it shiny. So because what that satin tinted is they just have a product in there that's kind of milky looking, so it doesn't quite have a perfect sheen. But a lot of satins are, guys take a high gloss and they cut it down with steel wool or Scotch-Brite pads and make it satin. Yeah, there's a piano that was a lacquer over wood that was, you couldn't tell what it was. Some of it was shiny, some was not. And yeah, I did this process over the whole thing. It was lacquer and the whole thing shined up really pretty, really nice. And it was just a really old piano. So fairly good, not perfect. I'm a perfectionist when it comes to this stuff, so I would probably go back on. But I mean, from here, I mean, that's from about here. You can see it was pretty dang close to. And before, I mean, we went from, like that. See all the tons of little scratches and swirls, and
it's like so bad that it's milky.
Yeah.
Cloudy.
To a nice new pink piano. And so yeah, you saw how easy it was. I mean, to really make it better, I would say stay on this one longer, and probably the last couple pads. Last pad, you might want a separate pad for the last process the last wax. Now give it to the movers, and by the time it gets to the house, it won't even look that nice. Because your moving blanket will scratch it more. But yeah, it's kind of cool.
Okay. All right, thanks, Mike. Anybody have any questions, or maybe let's end the broadcast and have somebody give it a shot on this side over here. So thanks for watching the broadcast, and check it out next Wednesday at 6 a.m.